purpose of this DVD, I think, is to give people a glimpse at how simple it is. It's not a complicated thing. If you learn the plants that are in this DVD, learn to go out and identify them and harvest them and eat them, because taste is a learned thing. Because, you know, they might not taste nice to you in the beginning, but if you eat them quite a few times through your life, you get used to them and you'll acquire a taste. So, and if you learn these 10 plants, it would be impossible to starve anywhere you are from here to Cooktown on this side of the Great Divide. And I think with this bit of information, because I'm not giving you a lifetime of information in one DVD. I'm just giving you a few plants that are very, very common and have multiple uses. And they grow, they're so common. And that way you can step into the bush, and once you've learned these things, and be familiar, you can look around and go, okay, there's that, I can eat that, I can eat that, and then just start adding knowledge to that. And it won't take long before you feel very, very confident in the bush as far as bush tucker goes. And the same thing goes with everything else, like shelter, practice. You know, when you were, most kids anyway, I used to go out and build all kinds of cubbies in the forest when I was small, and it's the same thing now, only you're just a bit more sophisticated. You don't want the rain to come in, so you do it a little bit tighter and a little bit stronger. But yeah, that's how I hope that this DVD will help people take that first step. Get them off the couch and into the backyard even. A lot of these things will be growing in your backyard. And then from there, take another step and get out into the bush and get familiar. One thing most people can agree on, this world here with the cars and all the industry, the industrial age is not sustainable. We're raping the earth at a phenomenal rate. And all of us know that now we've got Japan and India online. It's going faster and faster and faster, like a snowball coming down a hill. It's going to end. When? Nobody knows for sure, because nobody knows the future. But, you know, my gut feeling is it's going to be pretty soon. And if you have this knowledge, well, you can survive. Yeah, let's go up and photograph this native cordyline. It's a great bush tucker and very common from here to Cooktown. Anywhere you go, it'll be there. Let's have a look. Okay, this is native cordyline, and it's a really common plant in the bush this side of the Great Divide all the way to Cooktown. From, say, Sydney to Cooktown, you'll find this plant in the bush. And they oftentimes grow in clumps like this. And so I'm going to break it off right here, and I'll show you what we eat. So just break off the top, like that. And all these leaves I'll use later for weaving. And also, if you were thatching a shelter, you just take clumps of that and use them like shingles on your lean-to or whatever. So it's really good for thatching. Just pull all these leaves off. This young leaf here, you can eat raw or steam it, and that's a really good vegetable as well. So this is what we're after right here. See that? That's the undifferentiated leaf that's all in there. It's called the heart. It's delicious. Like fresh peas. Want to try some more? What do you reckon? There's a lot of nutrition in this. And you can't kill the plant. It'll send out 2 shoots on either side of that, yeah, and grow another head out. So when you harvest and eat this plant, you never actually kill it, which is a really good thing. You can also eat the horizontal roots that come off the plant. They come horizontal off the plant, and they're fairly shallow. And when they're swollen and maybe about that big around, you can harvest them and you boil them, or you can roast them as well in the coals. And they're really sweet and nice. But you don't do that unless you're in a survival situation, because it hurts the plant quite a bit. Might even kill it. So you'd only do that in a survival situation. It's knowing through experience. That's what knowledge is. Knowledge is not read a book and now I know something. You have to go apply that to your life, in your footsteps. Then it becomes knowledge. Until then it's just intellectual garbage. This is a Bangalore palm, and it's native to Australia, and it's very, very common in the rainforest and even in grasslands, woodlands. It's very common, and lots of times you'll find them growing in clumps like this, where you got three, one really small one bigger one, and then one bigger one. And all palms have a heart, which is undifferentiated leaf matter. Before the leaf is born from the tree, it's all stored inside here. So this one here, to get the heart, you'd cut the tree right here and down here, and then peel all of that back, and inside will be the undifferentiated leaf matter, and that's what you eat. And there'll be a nice big chunk in there. For one person, it could last you a few days. Okay. And this palm, when the leaf, when the tree, is done with the leaf, it dries out, and then this falls off the tree because it's done with it, and then I use that for weaving. I can split it like this, and then I've got a fiber to make rope or a basket, fish traps, whatever. And then also the flower stalk, which isn't on here right now, but when it bears a big stalk and it's full of red fruit, when all the berries fall off, then that flower stalk falls to the ground, and that's also a good weaver. So, like this basket here, that's the flower in my basket, and that's the leaf base that I just showed you. And then it has one more fiber, which is right there, and that's the sheath that wraps the flower when it's born from the tree. And when it's done with it, it drops it. So you have three fibers that the tree actually gives to you to weave with. Yeah, so that's a really good one to know. That's why so many people start talking to me and going, and rah, 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 and rah, 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 you know, and I'm like, well, have you had the experience, or is this something you read? Oh, it's something I read, but I know it's true. I'm like, man, you don't know unless you put it to the test. It's like this book, this bush tucker book is talking about water, and it goes, native grapes. There's heaps of species everywhere in the bush. There's one just up here which I'm going to try. And the first settlers called them water vines, because when they were walking through the bush and they needed water, they just cut a meter length, turn it upside down, and drain it into a container. Well, I've tried and tried and tried, and not one drop of water. But there's one species up here, because my friend Gummy, he's incredible. He's the one that made that salve. He reckons that there's one species out of maybe 10 or 15 species that gives you copious amount of water. Cut it and it'll, give you lots of water. So I'll try that. That's the thing, they haven't gone out and made it knowledge. They just read it somewhere else. Maybe in the archives of the first settlers. You know, which is where I got a lot of my intellectual information, and then went out and applied it. Okay, this is Matrush, See how wide the leaves are? And it's called Matrush because the Aboriginals used to use these to weave mats with. And it's on every single creek and stream, river, on the banks, because the main job for it is to hold it from erosion, hold the soil. And you'll find that plant from here to Cooktown anywhere there's water, and also even in dry areas. It won't be this lush. It'll be real small, but it still grows even in dry lands. And it's a great bush tucker. It grows in a clump, and you just pull one of these clumps out like that, and then peel these leaves back, which I'll keep for weaving later. And that's the bit that's edible. It's delicious. A lot of people reckon it's like fresh peas. And as you can see, there's quite a few. I could take maybe 6 of those off of this one plant, and then I could go to another plant, take another 6. So it's a really, really good source of bush tucker. Here's a dry flower on this one, but you can see the kind of spines on it and stuff. But when it's fresh, when it's born from the plant, it's got hundreds of little tiny yellow flowers on it. And the Aboriginals used to come along and dip it into their water containers, and then just keep going along to each plant, dipping in, and then they'd taste it, and when it got sweet enough, they'd drink it. So there's a lot of nutrition in the flower itself. And that's Matrush. So now you've got Matrush, the Bangalore palm, and native cordyline. If you know those 3 plants, I think it would be basically impossible to starve to death, because these foods are going to be within walking distance no matter where you are from here to Cooktown. Okay? Yeah, the body stores at least 2 weeks of vitamins and minerals for the average person. And so you can stop eating for that long and still be okay. But if you're stressed and you're in fear, you're like, oh my God, I'm out here without any shops. What the hell am I going to do? Well, all those vitamins and minerals, stress actually burns up them quicker. So those 2 weeks can go down to 5 days, and you're out because you're stressed. You've burned them all up. So it makes sense just to relax, because then those 2 weeks you can turn into a month, twice as long. If you're not afraid, if you're familiar with your environment, you're not afraid. Yeah, then your chances of survival are increased 100-fold. See the white flower with the yellow inside, and the green berries. It's in the deadly nightshade family. And the blackberry. When the berry is all the way black like that, you can eat it. Here, Mark. Like a tomato. Lots of people used to think these were poisonous, but that's because they'd eat the berry before it's all the way black, because the plant doesn't want you to eat it until the seed is viable. Okay, that's that plant. You know, I'm making a little hat for my doll, for the little doll there, this morning. These are my little friends. I make lots of dolls. There's a huge market out there for people that collect dolls that are made out of natural materials. But mostly I make them because I spend 90